Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. This isn't just a story about dealing with a difficult customer. It's a tale of justice, team solidarity, and the kind of poetic payback that life sometimes delivers in the most satisfying ways. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. How my day behind the counter turned into a lesson on tolerance and malicious compliance. Back in 2006, I worked for one of those big box stores that had an IT desk, formerly known as Nerd Herd, LOL, where people could bring devices in to get serviced if there was a problem. We were located in Columbus, Georgia, which is right over a bridge from Phoenix City, Alabama. This is important because where our store was placed, we would normally get a lot of servicemen and women coming up from Fort Benning who were generally pretty cool, but we would also get folks, mostly from Alabama, who were, let's just say, slightly unfavorable to folks of a certain skin color or gender. No offense to those who live in Alabama and are totally awesome. You know who you are. Now, I'm a 5'1" girl who, at the time, weighed a total of 120 pounds soaking wet. I was practically a hobbit. I was also one of the lead technicians in the department. I was the one who the new hires went to if they were confused or couldn't troubleshoot certain problems. The team I worked with was amazing. The general manager of the store was great, and the supervisor of my department was the man. I would regularly go out for drinks with these people, one of the best places I've ever worked, even though it was retail. One day, I'm working the counter to check customers in and do evaluations and diagnostics to give an estimate of what the repair price would be. In comes, let's call him Joe. He wore a cut-off t-shirt, worn denim jeans, and a baseball cap with a Confederate flag on it that just barely covered his business in the front, party in the back haircut. I'm not one to judge on looks. I've had plenty of people come in looking exactly the same way this guy did, who've been an absolute delight to work with. Never judge a book by its cover, kids, but I still have my defenses up just in case. I really hoped it wasn't going to go the not-so-friendly route. I was unfortunately wrong about dear Joe. Joe walks up to the counter with his PC tower and practically slams the unit on the desk. Joe, I need this fixed. It's broken. Me, okay, sir, let me have a look and I'll see if I can... Joe cuts me off and stares at me with a disgusted look on his face. Excuse me? Me. If you give me a moment, sir, I'll be able to take a look at your computer and... Joe, oh, hell no. It was at this point that I realized where this was inevitably going to go wrong. Me. Unfortunately, sir, I won't be able to give you an estimate if you don't let me diagnose your computer. Joe, there's no way in hell a woman knows about computers. I'm not letting you touch my computer. Give me the manager. Oh, yes, I thought, this is going to be effing awesome. I'm sure he wanted to talk to the general manager of the store, but I couldn't resist. Cue malicious compliance. I could have pulled the I'm the manager thing because I was one of the senior staff, but my direct boss was actually out back working on repair projects, and I couldn't help but get excited about how this was going to go down. Me, as lovely as sweet tea, of course, sir. Right away, sir. Mike, my supervisor, the guy who ran our department, and not the general manager of the store, was elbow deep in a motherboard replacement when I walked in and gave him the biggest crap-eating grin. Me, hey Mike, there's a guy out there asking for the manager. He looks at me confused because he was just supervisor, but I then proceeded to tell him exactly what was waiting for him out front. His face split into the brightest smile. He then proceeded to walk out to the front. Have I mentioned that Mike is a 6'3", 280-pound black man who looked like he could eat a Mack truck for lunch? He was such a big, lovable teddy bear, we all adored him. The moment Mike stepped out, the customer freaked. Mike, hello, sir, I hear there's a problem. Joe lost it. It started with a F no before devolving into a racist tirade that I've never witnessed in my life. I'm from Massachusetts, so this was awful, yet amazing to watch. Like a car crash, I just couldn't look away. Joe kept screaming, using the nastiest slur over and over again while staff and customers alike watched in blatant horror. Security ended up having to come over and try to calm the man down. Eventually, the police had to be called because the man was threatening me, calling me a B, and threatening security and my boss. My general manager got called out of his office and immediately called the police to have the man removed. God bless whichever dispatcher who received the call was, because they dispatched 2 black officers to the scene. Me and my general manager were literally the only white people involved in this train wreck, aside from bigoted Joe, and I watched with unbridled glee as Joe was cuffed and taken away by the police. Watching Joe foam at the mouth as he was dragged away made my whole week. Thank you for the entertainment, bigoted Joe. I hadn't heard the term cut-off shirt before and imagined a Joe Exotic-looking dude wearing a badly made crop top. It added an extra layer of bizarre until I looked it up. And our second story. Karen attacked me at hospital. Some Karen literally attacked me. She brought her teenage son into the ER because he was skateboarding and fell, scraped both knees, and dislocated the other. While waiting for a doctor to reset his knee, I was tasked to clean both of his knees as bits of dirt and gravel has got into the wound. This Karen started shouting at me, "You have to have my permission to give my child first aid." I literally picked my head up and said, "Excuse me?" She replies back, "I did not sign any waivers giving you permission to treat my son." I told her, "You signed the document when you filled out the intake form." Karen literally stomps her foot and crosses both of her arms over her chest and tilts her nose up in the air and scoffs. Fine. I recompose myself and say in my head, this woman's about to get security called on her crazy self. As I'm cleaning his scrapes on both knees, I can tell he's not comfortable with the antiseptic that was used to clean his skin. I say to him, "I know this hurts. Please try and do your best to hold still." I get the antibiotic ointment and a sterile cotton swab and gently rub the ointment over his wounds, trying not to irritate the poor lad any more than he's already been through. Then finally comes the part where I dress both wounds. We use a nonstick gauze pad sports bandage, as I didn't want him to have any more trauma to his already damaged skin when he has to remove the bandage later and continue to apply the antibiotic cream. I wrap the wounds very well, and my head nurse double-checks my work. She gives me the approval and calls the doctor in. While I'm cleaning the mess up, the Karen shoves me, literally puts hands on me, out of the way, and starts tearing off her son's bandages. He screams and says, "Mom, what are you doing?" At this point, I physically grab her by the shoulders and pin her to the wall while struggling to call security on my radio. She managed to snatch one of the bandages off her son, literally in a split second. I had to physically pin her to the wall while security placed her in handcuffs. Son is screaming and crying while he watches the security guards enter the room and drag his backcrap crazy Karen of a mother away, literally kicking and screaming and trying to kick the security guards. I'm not sure how hospitals are in the part of the world where the reader watches this, but security guards at hospitals here in Estonia are basically uniformed police officers, and hitting one of them is a very serious offense. I'm talking prison sentence. They carry a pistol as well as tasers and riot spray. The hospital director storms over and notices the police taking her away to a holding room in the hospital until one of their patrol officers can take this crazy Karen to jail. He asks, "What is going on?" The female officer is in the room with self and I and son. Son is traumatized, crying very much. I explained to him that this crazy woman assaulted me and attempted to rip the bandages off her son's legs. He has a very shocked look on his face. Karen was arrested, charged with assaulting a healthcare worker, me, and 2 counts of assaulting police officer, as well as child endangerment and disturbing the good order of the public. And our next story. HOA is stealing using electricity without permission. A couple of weeks ago, I walked out of the back door of my townhouse and noticed an orange extension cord plugged into my external outlet. I followed it over to the unit next to mine, initially assuming that it was my neighbor's, but it led to the sprinkler clock that controls when sprinklers come on. I unplugged it from my external outlet. I didn't think anything of it. A couple of days later, it's plugged back in and has writing on it saying not to unplug because it controls the sprinklers. At this point, I'm annoyed because I haven't been given any notice that they would be using my electricity, nor has anyone asked me permission. I unplug it again and call my HOA and ask them to stop plugging into my outlet. When I got home from work later that day, it was plugged in again. Right now, I'm waiting until the end of the week to allow HOA office to communicate with whoever does the lawn upkeep to remove the extension cord. If that doesn't happen, I plan on unplugging it again and possibly bringing the extension cord to the property management. I'm less concerned about the electricity being drawn because I know that sprinkler boxes don't need much electricity, but more annoyed that I was never given notice or asked permission. And the other thing that makes me scratch my head is that there's another external outlet that's closer to the box that belongs to a neighbor. So why didn't they use the closer outlet? Unless they've already been through the same process with my neighbor. Update. Theft of utility services is a crime. I get tired of generously waiting for the HOA to address this, so I called the police. They stopped stealing electricity after that. And our last story. I do not, nor have I ever, wrestled wild animals. A tale from long, long ago, back when I worked as a churro cart drone for a lovely zoo. I liked the job, apart from most of the customers, because my cart was moved almost every week, and since they'd locate it near a popular animal attraction, I'd get to watch the animals as well. It kept the boredom factor to a minimum. One week, I was stationed nicely close to the gorilla exhibit. There were, at the time, several younger gorillas who, at the same time every day, would get all rambunctious and chase each other back and forth, jumping at each other and having mock wrestling matches. I never saw any of them actually hurt the other ones. It just looked like big beasties having fun. So one afternoon, the wild rumpus begins, and I'm enjoying it, and a woman runs over to the cart in a panic. Let's call her Crazed Tourist. CT. Stop them! Stop them! Me. Excuse me? CT. Stop these gorillas. They're fighting. Me. No. It's how they play. No one's getting hurt. Don't worry. CT. Bullcrap. You stop them right now. Me. They're fine. Why do they need to stop? CT. They're setting a bad example for my kids. Now you make them stop. Me. Barely able to not laugh. I can't stop them. They're big animals. CT. It's your job. Do it. Me. No, my job is to sell churros. Would you like a churro? CT. I'll have your butt for this. Me. Nope. All I can offer is churros. Because by now I'd quit taking any of this in any way seriously. CT stomped off, kids in tow, wailing because they wanted to watch the gorillas, and finds one of the wandering security guards. Apparently she told him the story. He told her the same thing I did, except for the churro part. And then he came over to tell me she'd complained to the customer service desk and demanded her money back for the day. They gave it to her just to shut her up and move her along. Seriously, who goes to the zoo expecting the wild animals to set good examples for their kids? Now, Billy, I want you to act more like that baby gorilla at the zoo, remember? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.